Welcome. This is Recovery Dharma in the Spokane Sangha. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators in this beautiful community. It's a joy to be here to practice with you. Today's sentiment of loving kindness is this one, and it reads, "May your stumbles reveal new sights. May your stumbles reveal new sights." Friends, for the month of May in the Spokane Sangha, we have been exploring the four foundations of mindfulness. And we're finishing up our exploration with the fourth foundation, which is the examination of our mental formations, our perceptions, what I call stories. The narratives that we start spinning before we're even really conscious or aware. And it's so automatic, and it's such a deeply ingrained habit and a well-worn groove that we practice this. We bring it into awareness and consciousness, not to judge it or to try to dismiss it, but to recognize that there's some wisdom probably lingering that we have never really thought about or explored. Today, I'd like to share with you a story. And it's a fresh story. It happened yesterday, and the conversation that ensued happened this morning with a Sangha member. And I have permission from this Sangha member to share this story and this interaction. Now, prefacing with that, friends, is a personal practice for me. And it's a way of modeling to you that whenever I'm interacting with someone, whether it's casual or professional, I never share my interactions unless I have permission. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to use the word never, because that's too absolute. To the best of my ability, I try to ask for permission before I share anything. It is an expression of devotion. It is respect for confidentiality and privacy. And it is also a really wonderful practice of pause. So I'd like to just plant that as the first seed as we begin to look at this exploration of our stories and our thoughts as a practice of mindful exploration, going into this foundational way of being in the world so that we can bring it into the light to heal, to mature, to grow. Yesterday in Recovery Dharma, I was sharing the work of Shantideva. And it was a section, a chapter in the Shantideva, the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, third chapter, that is all about engaging bodhicitta, really opening up the heart that's been wounded, the heart that knows pain and suffering. And to open up and access bodhicitta is to really invite the limitless quality of compassion to come forward. And what I shared yesterday in terms of Shantideva's words were his expressions and the interpretations of giving over his body. Even if somebody were to be violent to him, he was not really going to be fazed by it. He really wanted to surrender to it so that he himself would never engage in violence. And I tried to offer a contemporary view in terms of recognizing that while that is good for an 8th century monk to talk about, let's bring that into, modern day world, and it's very important that we keep ourselves safe and so on. However, this morning, lo, brought to my attention that I missed something, that I missed an opportunity to really go into that explanation deeper. And why that was important for her to bring to my attention was because there are members in our community who have suffered great violence to the body and subsequently to the mind, to the heart, to the stories, to the soul. And so for somebody who has that as their first person experience, to hear a teaching about surrendering one's body, no matter the conditions, including violence, up to death, yada da yada da, can be dismissive, diminishing, dare I even say, Lo did not say this, but cruel. So if anybody experienced that yesterday, I offer my deepest apology. Now, let's invite this example as fodder, as the raw material for the practice of looking deeply at perceptions and stories and using the instrument of peace that's true and not the whole truth. And I want to use that particular instrument of peace as a way of cultivating equanimity, neutrality. Here's the message of what happened. Here's the message that Lo shared with me. I missed something in my explanation. And in that missing the mark, I may have unintentionally caused harm. That is absolutely true. And I don't have to be threatened by that. I don't have to be defensive by that. It's simply true. And the truth is, I can examine that, explore it, apologize, use that as an opportunity to bring it forward again with more depth and texture. And there's more. Because within that truth, it's also true that I have a voice in my mind, a little inner critic that's so quick to say, oh God, there you go, Julia. Wasn't very sensitive of you. You're so insensitive. Ooh, eesh. That's true. Here's an example of it. I'm so insensitive sometimes. I don't always see everything. And the truth is, I'm highly sensitive too, and I often see a lot. Both make the whole of me. And that's what we're practicing. That's equanimity, is to be able to see bothness and have them balanced and harmonized so that I don't have to lean in one direction or the other. I'm so sensitive and I'm so insightful and I see everything, and aren't I so great? Or I'm so insensitive and I miss so much and I drop the ball and I'm the worst person on the planet. That's the dualistic mind that really likes to go to extremes of I'm either this or I'm that. But the equanimous mind goes, would you look at that? I'm both. And I don't have to move a whole lot in either direction. I can just be wholly me. This is the practice, friends. And it is so important to be able to practice with a Kalyana Mitra, a wise friend. Now, Lo is my Kalyana Mitra, and we have been practicing together for almost 10 years, 9 years plus. And we have had many heartfelt, tearful conversations to get to know each other, to iron out kinks, to really work this spiritual practice, to challenge one another. So when Lo brings this to my attention, part of why I don't feel defensive is because I don't feel threatened by anything with her. I don't feel threatened by, oh no, she's not going to like me. Oh no, she's going to judge me and think less of me. Oh no, I'm going to be in trouble. Oh no, I'm being accused of something terrible. Lo is bringing this to my attention, and she's very careful how she uses her speech, not to fluff me up, as Sean C. likes to say, but to take care of my feelings, to consider, if I were to receive this feedback, how would I like to hear it? So she considers me as the recipient of her feedback. She trusts my mind. She knows that there are many conditions going on that govern everything that I do, which means I can't possibly see everything, which is why her eyes are so necessary and impeccable and elevate this community and the work that I bring forward every single time. She trusts that I will receive her as well, with respect, with love, with ownership. And it just makes the whole experience so incredibly pleasant. That's a Kalyana Mitra. And they're rare. I bring this forward because we have to create, at the level of the heart, the bodhicitta heart, we have to develop and cultivate some strength, not some armor that's hard and walled off, but some strength and some resilience, because most of the people that we're going to encounter who are going to give feedback that is tricky and a little difficult and maybe even critical, we're going to be on the receiving end of this from people who are unpracticed and therefore unskilled, not Kalyana Mitras, sometimes not even a friend. People who don't think twice about my feelings. In fact, I'm going to encounter people who actually have a distorted intention of wanting to hurt me. We know that phrase, right? Hurt people, hurt people. That is the unpracticed heart-mind in its most immature state. Hurt people can heal. It is really the invitation of life, so that we don't cause harm. So, in order for us as practitioners to not perpetuate this cycle of harm, a hurt person comes at me with this feedback, and it's an accusation. Julia, I can't believe you were so insensitive to speak about Shantideva and giving over his body even to violence and not even recognizing the fragility and the vulnerability and the oppressive nature of violence that many people in the Sangha have experienced. What's the matter with you? How could you say those things? Okay, that's a very different tone. That's a very different condition in which to practice. And it's going to happen. And it happens all the time. Not all the time, regularly. Many times I am confronted by Sangha members, by outside community members, and so forth, and the general public in accusatory ways. Unpracticed, hurt people projecting their hurt. Now, I could fall back into habit energy and meet that aggression with aggression. And sometimes I do. But when I'm practiced, I can take a moment and notice, oh, this is hurt, this is aggression, this is hostility. And this requires some conditions for me to create in order to practice with wisdom and skill. So here's what I do. First thing, is what this person is saying to me, is it true? It's the first gate in wise speech. Is it true? Julia, that was insensitive of you. Painful as it is true. Second gate of wise speech, is this kind? Now, the tone of this person's voice is unkind. That's true. But the truth is, their message, their courage to bring this forward to my attention in whatever way they're doing it, is a great kindness to me. It wakes me up to my own negative karma so that I will not continue perpetuating harm. Second gate, is what this person just said to me kind? Yes. Third gate, is what this person is saying to me helpful, of benefit, regardless of their modality? The answer is yes. It is waking me up. It is bringing my attention to a source of harm that I want to remedy and I do not want to perpetuate. What this person said to me, albeit it was hot, it was fiery, but it was also true, kind, and helpful. So, what do I do when I am interacting with somebody who is coming at me with those truthful, kind, helpful things, but they're on fire? It's like a flaming arrow. It's a very simple practice. The first thing I do is I pause and I ask all of these things. The second thing I do is I literally lean back, or I step back from this person. And I often say things like, I'm going to need a minute. I'm going to take some space to consider what you're saying. The tone is a little harsh for me. I need a minute to allow my mind to soften it. And then I can say to this person, you know, what you said was true. And it hurts to hear it. And it must have hurt to experience it. And I'm sorry. It was a kindness for you to bring this to my attention. Thank you. It is of great benefit for me to consider this deeply. Thank you. I will not make this mistake again. Thank you. Or I will do everything in my power to not make this mistake again. Thank you. Now, imagine receiving that instead of what I would anticipate this person is expecting, which is more aggression, more hostility. They came at me shooting a fiery arrow, and what they're expecting back is me shooting back that same arrow. Right? And then we just perpetuate the cycle of hurt. And the reason why I'm shooting back that fiery arrow is because it's a defense mechanism. I'm defending myself. But what am I defending? I'm not actually defending what's true. Because it's just true. And that's neutral. What I'm defending is the heat. I'm defending myself and protecting myself from the heat, from the tone, from the accusation, from the way up in my face, way up in my grill. And I'm also defending some stories that I've been holding about myself, some hurts that I'm harboring in the privacy of my own heart and mind, some inner critics that are just whipping up into a froth. And I don't want to reveal that. I don't want to show that to anybody. Definitely not this person. I don't feel safe in there. I don't feel safe around them to be vulnerable. So I get defensive. I think it's a very human thing. But to practice says, wait a minute. Would you look at this? I don't actually need to be defensive. I can defend my own hurt stuff in the privacy of my own mind and space. But what this person is doing, I can honor it as true, kind, and beneficial. And I can also create a boundary that says, the way you just spoke to me stirs up some defensive feelings that are hard to work with. And nevertheless, what you're saying is true and kind and helpful. So thank you. And now I'm going to take some space to contemplate this deeply. Imagine if we could bring that to our relationships. But we can't do this, friends, when we're defending our stories. I'm such a terrible person. I'm so insensitive. I can't believe I didn't see that. I can't believe I didn't do that. I've done that a million times. Remember this one time when I did that? Stories. I mean, I could just spin them all day long. And I'm not going anywhere. So rather than do that, we can practice. And by golly, practice in this way, for me anyway, makes my connections and my relationships to people infinitely more interesting. What are you defending? How can you go into those tender places that have felt hurt in the past and tend to them yourselves when you feel accused? And how can you stand before the accusation? Strong, resilient, practiced. That is true. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. But you are not the person I'm going to talk to about this. It's a deep practice. Remember, friends, even when something's true, something terrible and painful and awful, it will never encompass the whole truth of you or anyone. And that is a great comfort to me. We'll end our practice today, friends, with a dedication of merit. One of the things that I am really trying to do on social media, especially, I do jump in the political pool regularly, and it's such a wonderful opportunity for me to practice skillfulness and to see where I'm unskillful, and I just love it. And there are times where I'm so proud of myself and times where I'm like, yee, wow, I got my keyboard warrior got the better of me on that one. But what I'm learning is the phrase, "That's true, you're right," is a powerful phrase. It's an equalizing phrase, and there's always a nugget that you can find that can just neutralize some of the heat so that people can engage. I really do believe that at the end of the day, beyond all the layers, there is bodhicitta, the soft, wounded, open, limitless, compassionate heart in everyone. It's in there somewhere. We may not be able to find it in everyone, but nevertheless, we can endeavor to keep it alive and activated within ourselves, and that is a noble aspiration. Thank you for practicing that with me today. Thank you for sharing and elevating this space. Thank you for leaving your vulnerability here, your thoughts, your wisdom. It is truly a blessing in this sanctuary, in this community, and it is an embodiment, truly, of peace. Namaste.